Hello everyone. So in this video, I'm going to start a new chapter, that is electromagnetic induction. Okay. Now in this video, I'm going to talk about the definition of electromagnetic induction. Okay. Definition. Then Faraday's experiment. Faraday's experiment. Okay. So these two things I'm going to talk about in this video. Okay. Now, electromagnetic induction, before the development of theory of electromagnetic induction, the concept of static charge and the properties arising due to static charge was developed. Okay. Then came the theory of, like, when the charges are in motion, it gives rise to current, electric current. Okay. Now, Oersted Oersted and his contemporaries like Ampere, they conducted several experiments and they established that a electric current and magnetism, they are interrelated. Interrelated in the sense, if we have a conductor, okay, this conductor is carrying current I. So in the surrounding space, there is a magnetic field. Okay. So whether it is a current carrying conductor of or you have a moving charge, it will give rise to a magnetic field. Okay. Moving charge, which is equivalent to current, produces magnetic field. Okay. So the current is producing a magnetic field. Okay. Current is producing a magnetic field. Okay. Now this concept was observed by Oersted, Ampere and others. Okay. And this was also known to Michael Faraday. Okay. Now what Faraday did, he thought that if a current carrying conductor, is able to produce a magnetic field, okay, then the converse of this should also be true. That is, a magnetic field can also produce a current. Magnetic field can also produce a current. Okay. So this was Faraday's thought. Okay. Now in 1830, Faraday demonstrated that electric current were induced in a closed coil. Okay. Closed coil means a coil with closed loop. Okay. When subjected with changing magnetic field. Okay. So this term is important. Changing magnetic field. So that means if you have a coil and this coil is placed in a region of magnetic field where this magnetic field is varying. Okay, it is varying with time. Varying with time. Then there is current in the loop. Okay, so the phenomena of generation of electric current by varying magnetic field is called electromagnetic induction. Okay, so this is the definition of electromagnetic induction. The phenomena of generation of electric current by varying magnetic field is called electromagnetic induction. Okay, now electromagnetic induction has wide application. That is, many applications are there, like electric lights, trains, communication systems, computers. Okay, now modern day generators and transformers, all these things work on the concept of electromagnetic induction. Okay, so now we have learned the definition of electromagnetic induction. That is important part of this discussion, that the phenomena of, this is the definition, the phenomena of generation of electric current by varying magnetic field is called electromagnetic induction. Okay. Now, next is experiments of Faraday and Henry. Okay. So these experiments were conducted by Faraday and Henry. So first experiment, you have a coil. Okay, so this is the coil, and it is connected to a galvanometer. Okay. So here you have a galvanometer. Okay. Now galvanometer, we know that it is a device to detect small current. Okay. Now near to this coil there is this magnet. Okay. So this is the magnet and this is the north pole of the magnet and this is the south pole of the magnet. Okay, now this is a bar magnet. Now when the magnet is moved towards the coil, okay, see this is north pole, so magnetic lines or magnetic field lines will be emerging out from the north pole and these lines will be passing through the coil. Okay, so now when we move this magnet with respect to the coil, okay, then it is observed that there is a deflection in the galvanometer. Okay, there is a deflection in the galvanometer. Now deflection in the galvanometer shows that means there is a flow of current in the circuit. Okay, there is a flow of current in the circuit. Okay, now see, this deflection is also observed when the magnet is kept at rest and the coil is moved, okay, either towards the magnet or away from the magnet. Okay, again there is a deflection in the coil. Okay, but now when both the magnet and the coil are moved such that the separation between them is constant, that is, there is no relative motion between the two, okay, both are moving together, in that case no deflection is observed in the galvanometer. Okay, so from this Faraday and Henry, they concluded that relative motion between the magnet and the coil generates current in the coil. Okay, so that means there will be current in the coil only when there is a relative motion between the magnet and the coil. Okay, if there is no relative motion, there is no current in the coil. Okay, so this is first part of the experiment. Now second experiment was, now they have two coils. This is one coil, coil 1, this is coil 2. Okay, now coil 2 you have a battery. Okay, battery with a key, and second coil you have a galvanometer. Okay, now here it is observed that when the key is put on, okay, when the key is on from off state, the key is turned on in this coil, coil 2, there is a deflection in the galvanometer. Okay, now again from on state to off state, there is again deflection in the galvanometer, but now in the opposite direction. Okay, so it means, see, when the current, see, when off means there is no current in this coil, that means there is no magnetic field and there is no magnetic field lines passing through the coil 1. When it is turned on, magnetic field is set up, so there is a change in magnetic field, and when there is a change in magnetic field, there is deflection in the galvanometer. There is a deflection in the galvanometer. Similarly, when it is in on state, there is a constant magnetic field. Now from on state to off state, magnetic field is changing, there is again deflection in the galvanometer. But when the key is continuously in on state, then there is a continuous flow of current in coil 2. Then it is observed that there is no deflection in the galvanometer. That means there is no current in coil C1. Okay, so it means to get a deflection in the galvanometer, the current should change in coil 2. Okay, when a constant current is flowing, there is no deflection in the galvanometer. Okay, and the direction of current in the coil 1 or the direction of deflection in the galvanometer is just the opposite when the key is changed from off to on and from on to off. Okay, so this was another observation. Okay, so based on these observations, Faraday and Henry, they found that for current to flow in the coil or for current to be induced in a coil, there should be a change in magnetic field. Okay, when magnetic field is not changing, there is no induced current or induced EMF. Okay, so second part, when direction of motion of C2 relative to C1 changes, the direction of induced current also gets reversed. That is, if suppose here in coil C1 current is flowing, okay, in coil C1 current is flowing. Now because of this current, flux is linked with the coil C1. Magnetic field lines is linked with C1. Now when there is a relative motion between the two, again there is deflection in the galvanometer. Okay, deflection in this galvanometer. So when the coil is moved towards the C2 is moved towards C1, separation is decreasing, so magnetic field lines passing through C1 is increasing. When it is moved away, magnetic field lines passing through C1 is decreasing. So that means there is a change in magnetic field on C1 at the site of C1. Okay, so for current to flow or for EMF to be induced, the magnetic field should change. Okay, galvanometer shows deflection when the key is pressed, that is from off state to on state. No deflection if key is pressed continuously. If the key is pressed continuously, there is no deflection. That means if a constant current is flowing in this coil, there is no deflection here, no induced EMF. Okay. When key is released, that is from on state to off state, when key K is released. Okay. So what happens when the key K is released? The deflection in the galvanometer is in the opposite direction. Deflection increases when iron rod is inserted into the coils. Okay. So when iron rod is inserted into the coils, deflection increases. Why? Because on insertion of iron rod, again the magnetic field increases. Okay, magnetic field increases. So see, the summary of this, all these experiments is that to induce EMF, okay, to induce EMF, we need to change the magnetic field. Okay, to induce EMF, B need to be changed. B need to be changed. Magnetic field need to be changed. So this was the Faraday experiment, or experiment conducted by Faraday and Henry. Okay. Now in exam, they may ask you write short notes on Faraday experiment or write short notes on experiments conducted by Faraday and Henry. Now in exam, questions may be asked like write short notes on Faraday experiment, okay, or Faraday and Henry experiment. So for both, you need to write these 3 points. You need to draw these 3 diagrams, okay, these 3 diagrams along with these points, okay, along with all these 3 points, this point, and this point. Okay, I hope I'm clear to you. To explain you the term magnetic flux. Okay, now suppose you have an area. Okay, this is the area, and this is the area vector. Okay, now area vector is always normal to the area being considered. Okay, so this is the direction of the area vector. Now suppose you have a magnetic field. Okay, now this is an external magnetic field. Okay, this is the direction of the magnetic field. This is external field. Field. That means this coil, it is placed in external magnetic field given by the direction B. Okay, this is the direction B. Okay, acha. Now suppose theta is the angle between direction of magnetic field and area vector. Okay, and area vector. Now corresponding to this B, this will be B cos theta. Okay. Similarly, corresponding to this area vector, this is the direction of A cos theta. A cos theta. Okay, A cos theta. Now, magnetic flux, it is denoted by the symbol phi b. Now, magnetic flux is represented by the symbol phi b. Okay, so magnetic flux, it is product of area and component of magnetic field along A, area vector. Or you can write product of magnetic field and component of A along B. Okay, so this is the mathematical form of magnetic flux. Okay, now what is the meaning of this? See, component of B along A, component of B along A. Okay, so that is this quantity B cos theta, isn't it? That is B cos theta. So this is B cos theta. Now similarly, component of A along B. So it is A cos theta. Okay, so this is A cos theta. So I can write this as A into B cos theta, or you can write this as B into A cos theta. Okay, so we can generalize this result, we can generalize these two results, and we can write this as BA cos theta, BA cos theta. So this is expression for magnetic flux. So we have phi B is equal to BA cos theta, or you can write phi B, it is equal to B dot A. Okay, so this is the mathematical expression for magnetic flux. Okay, this is magnetic flux. Okay, acha. Now see, for theta is equal to 90 degree, for theta is equal to 90 degree, this cos theta term, it will become 0. So in that case, what will be the value of flux? Magnetic flux, it will be 0. See, when theta is equal to 90 degree means the magnetic field, what will be the direction of the magnetic field? Magnetic field, it will be in this direction. This is the direction of the magnetic field, isn't it? Now, see, this angle is 90 degree. This angle is 90 degree. So now theta is 90 degree. Theta is 90 degree. So see, theta is equal to 90 degree means magnetic field lines, they are parallel to the surface. Now if magnetic field lines are parallel to the surface, that means they are not passing through the surface. Okay. So here flux is 0. Okay. Now again, what happens when this theta is 0 degree? When theta is 0 degree, it implies the magnetic field is in the direction of area vector. So that means this is the direction of the magnetic field. So that means maximum lines are passing through the area. Okay. So in that case, so for theta is equal to 0 degree, magnetic flux will be maximum and will be equal to BA. Okay, it will be equal to BA. Now see, these are all mathematical information about magnetic flux. Okay, now what about the concept behind this? Okay, see, magnetic flux, it is defined as, what is the definition? The definition is, it is the total number of lines of force passing through an area, the area being held perpendicular to direction of lines of force. So see, magnetic flux definition is, it is the total number of lines of force, passing through an area, the area being held perpendicular to the direction of lines of force. Okay, this is the definition of magnetic flux. Okay, now let us understand this definition and also the mathematical form, how it is related to this definition. Okay, see, suppose you have an area, this is the area, Now, what is the direction of the area vector? It is normal to the area. So this is the direction of the area vector. Okay. And what is the direction of the magnetic field? Now let us take this to be the direction of magnetic field. Okay. Now this angle is theta. So if this is the direction of the magnetic field, that means magnetic field lines are in this direction. Okay. This is theta. So this is b cos theta. Okay. Now b cos theta is the component of b along A. Okay. Now when we write phi b magnetic flux as A into b cos theta. So what is this b cos theta? This b cos theta represents the magnetic field lines which are perpendicular to this area, correct? So that means when you are calculating the flux, you are taking into account only that component of magnetic field which is perpendicular to the area, okay? So see, this is what we have written. Magnetic field lines is the total number of lines passing through an area, the area being held perpendicular to the direction of lines of force. Okay. Acha. Now this is by taking the component of B along A. Okay. Now let's say what happens when component of A along B is taken. Okay. Now let us again consider an area. Okay, this is the area, and this is the area vector. Okay, and this is the direction of the magnetic field. Okay. Now this angle is theta. So component of A along B, this is A cos theta. Okay, this is A cos theta. Now magnetic flux can also be written as phi B. It is equal to B multiplied by A cos theta. But what is A cos theta? See, for this area A cos theta, you will have an area in this direction. For this area, A cos theta is normal to this area, correct? And for this area, this magnetic field is not passing normal to the area. Okay, so that means we have taken that component of area for which magnetic field is perpendicular to the area. Okay, so again we are following this concept that the lines of force are passing through an area, the area being held perpendicular to the direction of lines of force. Okay, so this is how we define magnetic flux. Magnetic flux is the total number of lines of force passing through an area, the area being held perpendicular to the direction of lines of force. Okay, so we are counting only those lines which are perpendicular to the area. When you are resolving B along A, again, so when you are resolving B along A, you are taking the magnetic field perpendicular to the area. When you are resolving A along B, you are making the area perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field. Okay, so this is the basic concept about magnetic flux. Okay, and magnetic flux phi B, mathematically it is represented as B dot A. Okay, now regarding the unit, see, magnetic field is Tesla, this is meter square. So this is Tesla meter square. Okay, now it can also be written as Weber. Okay, WB. This is Weber, WEBER. In short, it is written as WB. So unit of magnetic flux is Weber or Tesla meter square. And obviously, since it is a dot product of magnetic field and area vector, this magnetic flux, it is going to be a scalar quantity. Okay, it is a scalar quantity with unit Weber or Tesla meter square. Okay, and it is a dot product of magnetic field and area vector. Okay, so these are all information about magnetic flux.